not telling them what to do. I don't care what they do. God does. And as much as I'm going to be obedient to God, I just got to tell them what God said. If they don't like it, I don't see it as a personal rejection. I see it as they don't care what God said. That's on them, not on me. He sought the fellowship of God in an evil world that was being overtaken rapidly by Satan and all of Satan's minions. Noah lived in a world of absolute violence. That's all that was on people's minds. Must have been election season. Violence, wickedness, fallen angels, evil imaginations. Imagine how Mrs. Noah felt. Her husband had isolated her from all of her friends. All of her children were no longer able to run the streets and have fellowship with all of those wicked people out there. Must have seemed like a terrible letdown and disappointment until the flood came and took them all away. And then they might have looked at Noah with a little different way. Thank God that their father like Noah, that stands against what the world's opinions are, stands against the fuming of the world and the devils and the enemies, all of that kind of stuff, and takes a stand for God. Thank God somebody in our family was righteous enough to deliver us from the wrath to come. That family fought against science. The science of the day is, oh, poor old crazy Noah, it ain't going to rain. What's rain? Doesn't he know the earth is watered by a mist that comes up from the ground? This rain, what is he, crazy? Man, he must be one of them fundamentalists. He must think he's got some revelation from God. Did he? He was all those things. He was also right. When he said God's going to judge the wicked, I bet there are giants out there. Don't you know God's a God of love? Don't you know that just being too judgmental? Haven't you ever read Thou Shalt Not Kill? 120 years. You know what he was concerned with? His family. Noah was the first guy that was in favor of climate change. Because it changed when God got done with it. A world that was tropical and all the coal deposits and the trees at the North Pole, the mastodons up there eating daisies in the Arctic Circle. Within hours, the world turned upside down. Those people outside the ark might have said, oh, he's crazy. Noah thinks he talks to God, and God talks to him. He knows what's going to happen. What a crazy little man. Even Noah himself might have had moments of doubt. I mean, 120 years is long to wait to see something, isn't it? Anybody ever think about how much fruit Noah observed from his labors? Nothing. I'm beginning to know how he feels. Abraham, I'll be done here in just a minute. Got enough patience. Abraham walked with the Lord day by day. And as they leave the Ur of the Chaldees and go out there, Sarah said, where are we going, Abe? I don't know. Just walking. When are we going to get there? I don't know. Sarah, we'll get there eventually. How long is it going to take us? No idea. He was a man of real faith. He believed what God said. He offered sacrifices. He fought battles. He rescued his relatives as best he could. They kept going back into it. Some of you know exactly what that is. You keep witnessing to them, and they keep turning right around, putting their lives back in the devil's hands, and the world's hands, and the sewer's hands. You keep fighting them, but you don't know, Christian, but what tomorrow, the witness you give to them might be the one that turns their lives around. One that leads them to the throne of mercy and grace to find grace to help in time of need, because they need it. Who knows but what the rapture is not going to be tomorrow night. And Monday morning, Monday afternoon is all you've got to do. You know, the one that I feel sorry for is Sarah. Look with me in 1 Peter chapter 3. I mentioned this earlier. God calls us men to follow Him, and He cause women to follow their husbands. That's a rather frightening responsibility laid on men's shoulders.
Do you think men are better than?
I don't think anybody's better than anybody. I think it's just what God said, so you better figure it out yourself. You can tell God he's wrong if you want. I don't think I'm going to try it. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, married to a lost man, married to an unsaved man, married to a fool, married to somebody that doesn't know anything. God's got the plan right here. That if any obey not the word, they may also, without the word, be won by the conversation of their wives. Your behavior, ladies, is what's going to influence them. Are you faithful to the Lord? Are you faithful to the word? Are you faithful in teaching your children Bible truths so that it has an influence over them that they can't break free from? You know, everybody likes that old saying, the hand that rocks straight and rules the world. That ain't far from absolutely true. How you do it? You've got a responsibility on you. While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear on the telephone, on Facebook, with your family, in the conversations with that unsaved husband or that unfaithful husband. No, I don't say that, but that's what's implied, isn't it? You're watching. Who's adorning? This is the wife's adorning. Let it not be the outward adorning of plaiting of the hair, and of wearing of a gold or putting on of apparel. In other words, it's not what's on the outside. That's what attracted him. But if it isn't what's on the inside that made you his wife, you both got a bad deal. Let it be the hidden man of the heart. Why does it say of a woman that she has a hidden man in her heart? Isn't Jesus Christ a man? Does he not dwell in your hearts by faith? In that which is not corrupt, even the ornament of a meek and a quiet spirit. Boy, some folks can use that. Which is in the sight of God a great price. For after this manner, in old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection to their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as you do well, and are not afraid with any amazements. Likewise, ye husbands, love them according to knowledge, giving honor to the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together. That's an interesting word, isn't it? Together of the grace of God, the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. A couple of things here. Anybody remember what Sarah's experience was in Gerar? Abraham looks around, and he says, okay, Lord, I'm walking where you're leading me. He says, I didn't lead you down there. You just went down there because there's a famine up there, and you just wanted it a little bit easier. And he, taking the easy way, put his family in jeopardy. And he goes down there and he says, these people don't fear God. Hey, Sarah, if anybody asks, you tell them you're my wife, you're my sister, not my wife. Okay. Okay, that's what you want. You're the boss. And the king looks at Sarah. And by the way, she's probably in her 60s at this time, but you know what? Some women in their 60s still got a lot of looks. And the king looked at her and he said, who's that? Sister. You a sister? Come with me, honey. I'll make you the queen. And Abraham watches her walk out of the room. And she walks out of the room, she may look back over her shoulder with a... And God steps in there. Say, why did God step in? She was to be reproved because she went along with the charade. See, there's no amount of evil that God acknowledges is okay. There's no amount of, well, my husband said it, so I don't lie to back him up. She's reproved. God steps in there and he says to Amalek that night, you touch that woman, you're a dead man. That's another man's wife. And the heathen in this thing says, well, what do you know? Old Father Abraham, the father of faith, is a liar too. Wow. what do you think about that? And God says, yeah, but he's my liar. You know, God doesn't save perfect people. Until we're translated, we're not perfect. But God has given us a means by which we can demonstrate to Him that our faith is being worked on. And for men, it requires believing God. For women, it requires believing that husband. My wife used to make me so mad. I'd say something to her, you know, yeah, I'll fix that. And the next day she'd say, I thought you were going to fix it. I am. I didn't say when, I am. And it'd go on for a while. And finally she just, very calm, the ornament of a meek and a quiet spirit, she says, God said I should just trust you and believe what you said. You always got to pull God out and get me to do what I'm supposed to do. She's a smart woman. You know what I could stall on her? As you start stalling on God, my friend, you're looking for trouble. You're looking for judgment. You're looking for a bad day to come. Just picture what each one of these people would have come to if Abel didn't offer the right offering. Him and Cain both did. What if Enoch didn't offer what God required and do what God told him to do? He wasn't walking with God. He wouldn't have gone up. What if Noah just stalled up? Well, I believe what you said about building that ark. It's just, you know, I'm just living by faith. I'm just trusting God. Lazy people say that. Because when you trust God, you do what God says in the meantime until God brings about what He's promised He's going to deliver you. Abraham, he left every comfort behind. And Sarah steps up and wins the battle, even for her husband who's disobedient to her. You know what veterans learn? Follow orders. Anybody think that the generals in a battle tell the privates in the kitchen what the next battle plan is? If you think that, you're wrong. Most of those are closely guarded secrets, or at least it's none of your business. You just keep cooking, keep doing what you're doing, keep daily grind. You get up and you prepare this and you prepare that. Keep those guys fed. And one day, you open the paper. We won! I wasn't even in the battle. Yeah, you were. Where do you think those guys would go if they were starving to death? Where do you think they'd go if the supply houses weren't full? Where do you think they'd go if the citizens of that country didn't provide what was needed to fill those warehouses, to provision those men? The handful out on the front line. God's got a job for you, my friend. Just be faithful to do it. Sarah ultimately delivers Isaac, the child of promise. She had stepped up one time thinking, oh, I'm going to fix this. With no wisdom and counsel of understanding against the Lord. Wait for God. He knows what's going on. She didn't get bitter at her husband either. I've always marveled at that. She might have longed for the things that were back in Ur of the Chaldees. You know, for a man to travel through the wilderness, most guys I know like to camp. They like kind of that outdoor life. Not too many women I know like that. They want to camp out, but at the Hilton. She might have looked down there at Lot and said, Abraham, you fool, you just gave away a comfortable life down there. Abraham says, that's not what God called me. That's not what God called me to do. She might have been somewhere in the back of her heart saying, you know what? Maybe Abraham wasn't the guy I should have married. And yet all these years later, God says, Abraham and Sarah, I had a little bit of them. They're mine. Those old saints are a little different than ourselves. The world is filled with things that call out to them, wrestle for their attention. Yet they were faithful to the one who called them. Our challenge today is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the things of this life, with the affairs of this life, that he might please it, chosen him to be a servant. Each of these faithful saints fought a good fight. Each finished their course. Each one of them kept the faith. Let us, saved, washed in the blood, born again people. And if you're not one of those, let me just assure you of one thing: you're on your way to heaven. You're not going to get any rewards from God unless you are truly born of the Spirit. You can do that by simple faith, calling upon the Lord Jesus Christ to forgive you, and yielding your life to Him, and following His word in obedience. Believe in your heart and confess it, that Jesus Christ is Lord. Apart from that, you got no future. No future. No parade for you. They all finished good. Let us honor our captain, our commander. One day there will be a parade. White horses, the world gathered around to cheer the homecoming king. And then the world will settle down for 1,000 years at his feet to be taught and to learn of him. Abel offered the right sacrifice and mercy for others. Enoch had a pleasing walk with God. Noah believed God and worked diligently without any evidence of anything until the final day came. The flood came and took all of his enemies, all of the naysayers, all of the other folks away. And he and his own family were left alone. Abraham accepted God's call and went out and stayed out into a land that he never saw and died in faith. Sarah, by faith and obedience, became quite literally the example of a holy woman. In the fight of all of her problems, she believed God and trusted Him. Were they perfect? Oh no. They were just like us. They had their ups, their downs, their failures, their brief successes. They had their rebukes from God. They had their entanglements with the world. But in each case, they overcame by the precious blood of the shed. You and I have no greater hope than that. It's all in the Lord Jesus. How will you do, my friend? Happy Veterans Day to those of you who are frontline soldiers, to those of you who are a strategic deterrent, to those of you who are to the supply house for the needs of the saints. Thank God for each and every one of you. It's what it takes to get the job done and to work it out. Let's stand. I joined the Navy in 1966. And say why? It just seemed like a good idea at the time. People were getting drafted. There was a need for people to fulfill the government's demands, for people to fight. It seemed like a good fight of faith against communism. Now the communists are fighting against the government. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to wait till somebody comes and gets me. I'm going to choose myself. I didn't want to be in the Army, I want to be in the Navy. I want to see the world. Yeah, through a little periscope. My view of the world about that big. When I got it. Most of the time, couldn't see it. I don't regret it. I realized after it was all over, that was a lesson. I didn't appreciate it much while I was there, not until later. I think a lot of God's people are not going to realize that it's hard to serve the Lord until it's too late. And you wish, oh, I wish I could have done that. I volunteered with the Navy. My uncle, I have an uncle, David, he's 6 months older than me. I was born in May, he was born in December. Great family dynamics. We grew up together, we went to school together, graduated together. I went to the Navy. He looked at us and said, no. Got drafted. But when he got drafted, it was like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're in the Marines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're in the Marines. He ended up in the Marines. Well, that was a good choice for me. Really wasn't. But he didn't get a choice. but just take it that God knows who you are, what you need, the obstacles, and He'll make a way for you. Amen. 164. Room at the cross for you.